Howdy, folks. It's Meandering Mike in the man cave of madness. It's just before midnight, and we're doing another unboxing. This is of Swords Around the Throne. The game designer is Renaud Verlaque. The publisher is My Kind of Games. I believe that is his own self-published. This game was printed from the Game Crafter. Now, Renaud Verlaque is not a first-time publisher. He has done 3 other games. The first one, Age of Napoleon, was published by Phalanx, and it was a Charles S. Roberts Award winner. The second game was The Big Push, which is a World War I game, which was published by Hollandspiele. And then he did The Price of Freedom, American Civil War by Compass Games. So he's done 2 Napoleonic games, 1 World War I game, and 1 American Civil War game. So let's take a look at this. As usual, handy dandy shrink removal tool. Alrighty. Let's get all that shrink off. Now, I gotta say, for a Game Crafter game, this is a very nice box. It is not your normal kind of box that goes all the way down. It goes halfway down, and there appears to be like the equivalent, what's a bottom lid that's glued, which makes the whole thing much sturdier. So you've got a typical kind of box, but a 2-part. It's weird. It's very interesting. Let's leave that there so we can see it. Actually, I'm going to flip to the back first. I was so anxious to dig into this strange box that normally I go to the back. All right, so let's do my zoom thing here. I always like to look at this kind of information first. A little bit of shadow there. Medium complexity. Interesting, 30 to 300 minutes, so that's half an hour to 5 hours for those of you that aren't quick on the arithmetic. 24-page rulebook, 2 large player aids, 18-inch square quad fold mounted board. Square board, okay, interesting. 54 poker-sized cards and 80 double-sided 1-inch game board. 1 inch, okay, so not little half-inch counters. Let's take a look at that board. I'm going to zoom out a little here. Looks like we have a game turn track. Looks like a point-to-point kind of map. These appears to be cards in play. This appears to be some kind of a diplomatic status. There's all these different countries that are involved here. You know, Spain and Portugal and Italy and all that stuff. All right. So let's quick look a little bit. Zoom out here. I'm going to tilt that up and go back in. You can see that part. Okay, it's a 2-player game. Napoleonic Wars from 1805 to 1815. Grand strategic level. All right. So it's obviously a France versus Great Britain with France potentially having some allies or Great Britain, and so certain countries' allegiance can go back and forth. The player operates as head of state and commanders-in-chief, not the generals, not even at the marshal levels. So this grand strategic. The tools are diplomacy, politics, and war. They direct military campaigns, not battlefield tactics. So, grand strategic. All right, let's go ahead and go inside. Well, wait, I want to look in here. They talk about a number of mini games, so you can focus on the War of the Third Coalition, 1805, Fourth Coalition, 1806 to 07, Fifth Coalition, 1809, Campaign against Russia, 1812. War of the Sixth Coalition, 1813 to 14. The Campaign of France, 1814. And the War of the Seventh Coalition, also known as the 100 Days War, which, of course, ends in Waterloo. All right, let's now go back inside. Now, very interesting that the bits and pieces here are wrapped in paper. So that's that's space holders so things don't slosh around. I do want to look because there might be like dice or minis inside. Have you ever unwrapped a package and accidentally threw something away or discovered, oops, I gotta go retrieve that. All right. It's still in plastic. Not sure. They're just trying to protect it so it doesn't slide around, bang around inside. All right. I'm going to go ahead and open these as I get to them. This game contains laser cut components, it says. Slight amount of soot on the edges. Okay. Okay, I do not smell egregiously bad. Up, you can see the kind of the scorch marks. You see that? Now it's not. Oh, I did get a little soot. So yeah, you will want to wipe these off. Those are nice artwork. So these are 8 per, that's 32. Now it said, did it say like 80 1-inch counters? So I'm expecting this to be more. Aha. Meandering Mike was correct. These are the round ones. All right. Well, yeah, I guess the 1-inch rounds. Got 1-inch squares and 1-inch rounds. All right. So the Napoleon symbol, chains, chains, fires. 3 fires, 1 fire. Not sure if that represents some kind of devastation, destruction, rebellion, something like that. Okay, so interesting. So there's one's British allegiance with chains and Napoleonic allegiance. So perhaps certain countries' loyalties lock into certain side. This one side or the other, the Brits or the French. Now the question, does that mean can't join the French or won't leave the French? Can't join the British or So I'll have to find that out. Okay, more lock symbols, but on a gray color. Oh, a whole bunch of, so most of these have a side and a lock side. Except these 4 crossed pistols, flintlock pistols. So who knows? All right, I like to guess, but I don't. Those aren't going to represent armies. But maybe it's a battlefield site. You mark a battle. Well, but you got. I don't know. I don't know. All right, this must be cards. Now, I want to make sure I don't have too much soot on my fingers. And then the cards. All right. So, nice little paper wrapper here. That saves on some plastic. Let's see here. Just gonna rip right in. As I will. As those who watch know, I am a fan of the plastibands, not rubber bands, plastibands. I'm going to zoom out at this point so you can get a better view. All right, so I'm not going to mix these up right now, and I want to see. They might be sorted. Since there's so many years that this covers, there might be... Okay, so... is that the Austrian symbol, or is that... Yeah, I do not recognize. Okay, that's French here. French. Is that Sweden? Wow, I'm gonna have to learn all those. Well, the rule book will tell us. I'm gonna leave them in this order for now. There might be a reason why they're in this order. It doesn't look like it, but it might help me find stuff. All right. Now, interesting. There is what looks to be a piece of tissue paper on the inside to help protect that. I wonder if that's maybe after they've printed these, is there some chance that there could be some tackiness, stickiness, that they don't want the two sides of the boards to stick together? So in the worst case, it would just stick to that paper. That would be a problem, though, if it did that, because then it could tear and it could stick on there. So I don't know. Maybe it's just designed to keep it from rubbing. All right, let's see here. I'm going to move the box here to the side so I can lay this out a little better for your... Oh, those cards almost... Sorry, folks. Meandering Mike is meandering about. I'm going to set this aside for the time being. And now I'm going to prop it up like that. All right. And then I'm going to... All right, so there's a little glare there. Let's adjust that. All right, so turn track across the top. So years, and I'm assuming this is months, right? Because there's 12 of them, so that's a good guess if it's months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs of turns. So I'm not sure what that represents. It's not seasons. There's only 4 seasons. Okay, some track negative to positive. Not sure what that's going to measure, so various tokens could be put on there. Preparation phase, action phase, winter quarters phase. All right, so as we can see, this symbol was the Russian symbol. So looks like, oh. Now that should be an eagle, but God, it almost looks like a crow in the center in the orange. So yes, this is Sweden here. Zoom back out. So yes, the yellow with the big spread eagle is Austria. Italy is the green eagle. Naples here, not sure what that is. Spain and Portugal. Spain has 2 areas, Andalusia and Madrid. France has 3, England has 1. Prussia has 2. They currently control Poland and Berlin. Westphalia, Bavaria are separate minor powers. Okay, we do not worry about the Turks. This starts in 1805. Napoleon's not going to Egypt. He's already been there. And so since France isn't involved, or England in that, they've left them out. All right, that's fine. Okay, so that looks like a pretty simple map. I'm going to go back and grab the contents of the box. We have a rule book and player aids. Now the player aids actually come in separate Ziplocs. Now that's one of the things with game crafters. You can order bits and bobs and components separately. And so usually you're getting a game as a whole, but I suppose you could say, hey, I want to print just this thing. I'm missing it or something. You know, my rule book got lost, or I needed card deck. All right, so picture of the map, which I don't know. It's only a 2-player game, right? If this was a 4 or 5-player game and you had diplomacy negotiation chats and you were, going to the room and wanted to talk and point on the board, I'm not sure the purpose of this smaller map for a 2-player game. Is this a picture of all the cards on that side? And they're sort of their hierarchy? I'm not sure. It's not labeled. All right. Symbols. Ahoy. All right. So the major powers and minor powers. So the leading powers, France and Britain. Major powers, Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Spain. And then the minor powers. All of these have more than one province. Now, Britain's a leading power, the only one, but they got their island, right? The only one. But these, I believe, all had only one space on the board. Well, Russia had 5, Spain had 2, Prussia had 2, and I believe Austria had 3, 4, yes, 4. All right, diplomatic status, neutral power, uncontrolled, immune to diplomacy if locked. So that means in the locked status, you cannot do diplomacy to try to change their status. So either they're permanently, or there might be some way to unlock, but while they're locked, you cannot diplomacy on them. Okay, fully French controlled, immune to diplomacy if locked, not susceptible to insurgency. So French dominion, fully French controlled, immune to diplomacy. And then French subjugated. So that's these flintlocks. Means you have conquered it, partially controlled, susceptible to insurgency. So you have taken this by conquest, either as the British or French. All right. Quagmire. Okay, so these Bernies are a quagmire, partially controlled by each side, immune to diplomacy, ongoing insurgency. So a active insurgency quagmire. All right. Diplomatic actions, insurgency actions, campaign actions. Okay. Here's the sequence of play. So regular diplomacy actions, special French diplomatic actions, insurgency actions. So interesting. It's the insurgency is geared towards making things bad for the French. Because a successful outcome for the coalition is to change something that's susceptible to insurgency into a quagmire. Whereas a French insurgency action is to put down the quagmire. All right, diplomacy. Is there anything up there? Let's see, is that? Should I try to? I'm gonna backfold this. I'm gonna zoom in. So French can do diplomacy on something that's under the control or that they've conquered, and if it succeeds or neutral, it can become a locked French control. Or they can try to take a British crown loyal and turn it into neutral. No, you shall not side with the Brits, go neutral. Success for the coalition, lock, or same thing, take certain kind of provinces. So the conquered French province the Brits can't use diplomacy against them, just as the French can't use diplomacy against those. But if you've conquered it and you do diplomacy, you can lock it to your side. Whereas back down here under the insurgency, captured, controlled by the Brits, insurgency can make it go quagmire. Things that the Brits have conquered, it appears that nothing can be done diplomatically by the French. They have to just go and conquer it themselves. All right? That's what I surmised by that. All right. So sequence of play. Preparation phase. I'm not going to read the details. Action phases. 6 rounds of 2 player turns each. So a turn has 6 rounds of player turns. So I wonder what turn they actually use for the. No, well, we don't know how the game turn, the big turn. Preparation phase. Or no, it can't be. 2 player turns each. We'll have to see. Start round, each player turns between the 3rd and the 4th round. Wait a minute. All right, that's this 12. Those aren't months. Those are 6 pairs, I believe. Okay. Winter quarters phase. It'll take more digging. Let's look at the rule book. We've already gone almost 25 minutes. Look at all the cool components. This is very nicely done. I'm going to zoom out. Maybe twice right now. Let's get a quick look at the overall. This is highly glossy, thick. This is like, all the pages are like that. It's not just the cover page, So like a lot of times you'd buy like maybe like a role-playing game pamphlet or something, a booklet that would have this outer cover, and then you'd have normal white pages on the inside or something, right? Well, throw out, that higher quality, thicker paper. All right. The map again. Action cards. So each side has 27 action cards. All right. Game turn markers. Double-sided player turn marker. Flip, flip, flip. Resolution marker. Pass markers. Double-sided insurgency. Diplomatic markers. Leader markers. "24 double-sided army markers." All right, leading powers, major marker. We saw that already. Action cards: the national flag, the priority rating, the picture, some dude. Action icons. Okay, that looks like a peace dove. That fire we know is insurgency, trying to make quagmire. And then the cavalry dude, that's obviously the military action. Yeah, diplomacy, insurgency, campaign. Campaign, they call it. Okay, so a card with all three icons is called opportunity. In other words, you get to choose. I don't know if you get to choose one or if you actually get to do all three. That's to be seen upon the actual reading of the rules. Some coalition cards are yellow rather than white to indicate a particular event must have occurred. Okay. So here, I don't know if you can see that, but there's white and yellow. So some of this effect, I guess, well, there's two of these that it's a 1 strength, and they get the second icon if you meet some particular condition. All right, so it's conditionally 1 or 2 value. Concepts: diplomatic status, control status, military status, victory conditions. French player wins if all 4 major powers, Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Spain, are French allies. So either the diplomacy or beating their pants. Yes, either allies, French dominions, or French subjugated power at the beginning of any winter quarter phase. So if they can get all 4 major powers, remember Britain's a leading power, the other 4 major powers, somehow on their side in their favor, either subjugated, allied, or part of their dominion, boom. However, early coalition victory, the coalition player wins immediately if France surrenders before the winter quarter phase of the agreed upon last game turn. So that depends on the scenario you're playing. What's the agreed upon last game turn? Final game turn victory. If neither player turns an early victory, players now count how many armies are available to them on the mustering rules. Goes to the player who has improved the army count difference in their favor compared to was at the start of the game. Huh. All right, so whoever has grown their army the most. All right, set up. Oh, many setups. 1806, 1809, 1812, what's the third 1805? Yeah, 1805 is here. 9, 12, 13, 14 minigame, 15 minigame. All right. Sequence. All right. I want to see if there is, aha. Example of play, resolution of combat. That is, no, that's a resolution of diplomacy. Insurgency action, campaign action, mustering, movement, combat situations, combat resolution. Here's an example. Started down here, continued over here. Combat outcomes. Winter quarters phase. A few optional rules. Eurogamer rule. This optional rule removes randomness, pure strategy. Wargamer rule. This optional rule increases randomness, more fog of war. Designer notes. And there's okay, so, oh, nice index. That's great. Index. Very valuable. All right, folks. So this was Renaud Verlaque's Swords Around the Throne. His fourth game, his second game in the Napoleonic sphere. Age of Napoleon was his first, which was more like an area movement, more combat oriented. I believe it was multiplayer. Can't remember if it was like good for 4 more players or what. But yeah, so obviously this is a different level. This is more grand strategic. So looks nice. The components are good. I mean, there's the the soot issue on these, but that looks pretty minor. Once punch some out and see how those edges are. Might have to do some wiping of the soot off, which is a bummer, but I would much rather have standard die cut. So pretty nice for printed by the Game Crafter. So that's where you buy it. So My Kind of Games is the publisher, and again, I think Renaud Verlaque. I think that is his company. Self-published this, but through the game. So this is the place to buy it. The Game Crafter. That's if you go look on Board Game Geek for this game. It'll say the publisher is My Kind of Games, but if you go to the My Kind of Games link, the link to the website is the Game Crafter. That's how you go and you buy it. Okay, folks, Meandering Mike, man commence. We're after 30 minutes. We're going to say take care and ciao.